Okay, in 2018, question 10, part B, if there was no emigration, the population X of a certain county would increase at a constant rate of 2.5% per annum. By emigration, the county loses population at a constant rate of n people per annum. When the time is measured in years, the xdt equals x over 40 minus n. If initially the population is p people, find in terms of n, p and t the population after t years. So the mathematical model here that is used to represent the population after time t, the xdt equals x over 40 minus n. Now you can write that as n over 1. Common denominator would be 40. So this means that the xdt can be written as x minus 40n over 40. That's just getting a common denominator. Now if we separate the variables, we're going to get all the x's on the left and all the t's on the right. And this 40 we can bring it across and multiply. The x minus 40n we can bring it across and divide, and the dt would bring it across and multiply. So this means 40 times the x over x minus 40n equals dt. If we then integrate both sides, and we're going to use the limits that when time is 0, the initial population is p. After time t then, the population is going to be x. Now on the left hand side, we're integrating the x over x minus 40 times n. And this is an integral where you've got a linear function on the bottom. And if you integrate dx over a plus bx, this gives 1 over b times the ln of a plus bx. So here, the a value would be 1, and the b would be minus 40n. So on the left hand side, we're going to get 40 times the ln of x minus 40n. Limits go from p up to x, and then on the right hand side, if you integrate dt, you just get t, and the limits go from 0 to t. So when you put in t, first of all, you just get t minus 0, which is just t. So we just get a t on the right hand side. This 40, we could bring that across and divide as well. So on the left hand side then, if we put in x, first of all, for x, you get the ln of x minus 40n. Next of all, if you put in p for x, you get the ln of p minus 40n. And this then equals t over 40. Now on the left hand side, we've got the log of a minus log of b, and that is just the log of a over b. So we can write that as the ln of x minus 40n over p minus 40n equals t over 40. Next of all, to get rid of the natural log, we're going to get the exponential of both sides. And this means then that x minus 40n over p minus 40n just equals e to the t over 40. Next of all, if you bring the p minus 40n across and multiply, and then if we bring the minus 40n across and add it on, this means then x just equals p minus 40n e to the t over 40 plus 40n. In part 2 then, if n is 800 and p is 30,000, find the value of t when the population is 29,735. Now if we're looking to find a value for p, we could use, a value for t, we could use this equation, but it would be easier to use this equation here. So here if we use this equation, we know that t over 40 is the ln of x minus 40n over p minus 40n. Now we know that n is 800 and the p value is 30,000, so the p value would be 30,000, and then the population x is going to be 29,734. And we can bring this 40 across and multiply as well. So this means t is going to be 40 times ln of x minus 40n over p minus 40n, and then if we place the x, the n and the p, t then can be written as 40 times the ln. So the x value was 29,734 minus 40 times the n value was 800, and this is all over 30,000 minus 40 times 800. So using our calculator, that gives a time then of 4.99 years.